You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey, I think we were on early.
Why were we early? Or we late?
Well, we were because I'm always running it the regular YouTube with a delay. We are late, but, but we were on a little earlier than we normally are. What's going on, Stevie B?
I had to pick up my comics for the week.
Steve, let's see who's in the house. Stevie B's in the house. Preston's early. What's going on, buddy? Kenneth Bird. We're Rupenstein. What's going on, guys? I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Those that in the U.S., I know Canada's 1 week earlier.
Yeah, Canada's a week or so early.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I was like in Toronto around Thanksgiving, like a week before Thanksgiving. I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
One of my social media friends is Canadian, and she married an American, so basically she can eat for like 16 days. She was like, all I needed to see in the dating app was, he's a guy I used to work with, the cook. I need to see that he could cook, and I need to see he was American. And I'm like, done deal. As long as you're not a serial killer. I was like, fair enough.
Because serial killers usually answer truthfully those questions.
That's what I said.
On their Tinder app, says, I am not a serial killer.
Before we get started today, I'm going to throw this up here because this is just so cool. This is our buddy, Ken Hazer. After George Perez, obviously. This comes out on Wednesday. Army of Darkness versus Reanimator 5. There's going to be a full color version, but of course, being a jerk, I grabbed the only black and white copy here in the building. This thing is so cool.
All right.
I mean, there's a ton of covers. I mean, it's almost to the point now where Dynamite has so many covers, there almost needs to be like a variant breakdown for new comic book day.
So Easy Go Lucky in the house. Jeff Wedding, what's going on, buddy? Robbie, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good, man. Got to relax. Actually got to watch the Cowboys win a game on Thanksgiving, which hasn't happened in a while. So that was nice and had a good time. Watched a great Thanksgiving movie that night for the first time called Blood Rage, which is it's an 87 slasher film. It was actually made in 83. It is one of those movies that is so terrible. It's so great. I highly encourage anybody to check that movie out if they haven't. But I had a good one, man. Go Cowboys.
Well, that was a tough game for me to watch. Because you're watching a game where you're thinking, can they both lose? So the best I could hope for was a tie, but obviously that didn't happen either. But kind of had a feeling, on the Cowboys there. I think the Giants have been living on borrowed time through the entire season.
Well, they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now, So
they are, but the quarterback position is questionable at best.
I'll tell you what, though, y'all looked really good last night. What, over 300 yards rushing? Come on, man.
I'm not terribly worried about the offense or that O-line, but I am kind of worried about the defense, dude. That they needed almost every one of those points to
when you get later in the season, that's when the defensive shortcomings always show up, and people are like, "Oh, what's happening?" What's happening is you only get so far, right? Offense sells tickets. They've said this for 50 years, and it's always true. Offense sells tickets. You know what wins the game? At some point, defense.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but the problem is that obviously we are incapable of stopping the run. Jordan Love coming in and then scoring twice on 2 possessions. But I probably the biggest takeaway from that game is did we watch Aaron Rodgers more or less last game?
That's very much a possibility. That's very much a possibility. It's nice to see Love get some work, though, because they've had this kid for years and haven't been able to develop or do anything with him.
He just sits there. He collects his check. And
listen, he looked legit. I mean, he looked legit. Jordan Love scoring at all is problematic. I'm telling you, man, if you're the Packers, what are you thinking? I mean, I got to tell you, I have been an Aaron Rodgers fan through the years, but he looked like a tired old man that entire
he's a tired old man.
That's what I'm saying, though.
I mean, Brett, it happened to Brett Favre before him. Guys, the only person, it even caught up with Tom Brady. Eventually, like Tom Brady lasted a little bit longer, but even he
lasted a lot longer. But beyond that, I give Tom Brady a pass. Okay. If I'm married to a supermodel who divorces me in the middle of the season, it's going to affect my play. I'm not playing. Okay. It's definitely going to affect my play somewhat. So, but I don't know, as if Packers front office, what do you do? You kind of got it. You kind of, the kid looked good, man.
I think they should have split ways with Aaron Rodgers a few years ago, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
Well, he had decline. We had the pandemic, so it was kind of a weird time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like time passed by, but he didn't get to play.
John wasn't here the other day, so he convinced me to do 2 giveaways.
Oh,
that really was my idea.
It's Nick's idea.
So, everybody had a great Thanksgiving.
Hey,
okay. Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I'm here today. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers was back-to-back MVPs, but he goes and does ayahuasca and forgets how to play football. I'm just going to throw that out there.
He's the 2-time reigning MVP, y'all.
Listen, I'm a huge, I'm a huge Rodgers fan. I just, it just looks. I mean, the thumb and then the ribs, he just looked like a beat up old guy, man. I've never seen him like that. But I will say this much. I'm so glad he got rid of that haircut thing. They had a commercial, a State Farm commercial. Did you see that? He ended up as a samurai top knot was the one. There were two Rodgers there. That was pretty funny, but I'm really glad because I couldn't stand it. When he's on the sidelines with the baseball cap on and that long strand sticking out in the back, I couldn't take it. I was just like, cut that now. It's got to go. It doesn't make you look any younger, Aaron. You're 38, bro. Act like it. But it's interesting. And the Rams can't buy a game, dude. That's sad to watch. That is definitely sad to watch. But
the NFL is the only place where a multi-million-dollar organization, business, can fail endlessly and not be just closed, shuttered up, sold. Sports in general, but particularly the NFL.
Well, it depends on what your measure of fail is.
Certain teams been awful.
That's true.
Sold, money keeps getting poured into them. You just wouldn't see that anywhere else.
As long as people keep sitting there and keep tuning into the games, man. That's way to call it. I thought they had it. I thought they were going to win this Thanksgiving. I did. And like so many people in Detroit, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, what about Baltimore? What about that? Like Baltimore, that's crazy.
What about the Jets? Okay. They keep finding ways to entertain us this season. Are you kidding me? That kid, 3 touchdowns, over 300 yards passing? Zach, I think you're out of a job, brher. No, I think you are out.
You let him suit up, bro. He was in a hoodie. You know what I'm saying?
He was inactive.
Suit up. Yeah, he's done, man.
He was a healthy scratch, dude. He is definitely gone, man.
What if they have like an app to activate people now? You know what I mean? Like they need to do it really fast. I don't have time to call the league office. Do you have an app for this?
Oh my God. But CJ Design, what's going on, buddy? And Weird in the house. Yes. Hashtag EXP. Wait, is it EXP?
Hashtag REXCAP.
No, it's REXCAP. All right, but we have 2 giveaways. So Kyle, the question is, can you run
same hashtag for both giveaways?
Beautiful. All right, so that keeps it simple. All right, so just REXCAP. So CJ, you got to correct yours. Ron, you got to correct yours, buddy. And that will enter you in both drawings.
Are you
all
giving away the cap on your head? Is that what's going on?
Nobody wants this thing, dude. I couldn't pay somebody to take this thing.
It's vintage.
It is the
gently worn.
Wait, hold on. I will tell you what the giveaways are. The giveaway is all right. So the first giveaway is going to be Suicide Squad number 1, DF edition, CGC graded 9.8. And then the second giveaway will be the Champions number 1 DF black and white variant cover signed with a remark a true remark by Ken Hazer in color. So those are the 2 giveaways. You know what? We'll do first giveaway
at both at the end of the show.
Wait, what's this?
Doing both at the end of the show.
All right. So Kyle says we're doing both at the end of the show. So that works for me yet. Not yet, Marcus. All right. You know what? Let's do best offers. How about that?
Yeah, I was going to say we have best offers.
We do. And I think I circled all of them.
We should start doing like a worst offer too. Like buy this. We got it out of a nickel bin, but it's $18.
Somebody will throw up. You have to pay me $10.
I know, right?
It'll be John Cole. All right. So first up is King in Black #1, Darkness Reigns variant, signed in silver by Ryan Stegman. Suggested retail of $69.99. It's number 29 of only 100 signed. So we only ever had 100 of these signed in silver, and it is a best offer starting at $29.
Very cool book, very cool cover.
I tell you,
offering chicken wings.
2 chicken wings. You know what? I'm hungry. So
you know, Marcus, we're only doing increments of full chickens.
Well, hold on a second. Don't be hasty. What kind of wings are these? If they're like Korean barbecue, I'm in. If they're like, Frank's hot sauce, well, that I can do myself. But, well, in all fairness, I can do Korean barbecue.
I was about to be like, you could do Korean barbecue wings, bro. Come on.
All right. So then next up, we got The Walking Dead, number 144, signed with a remark, a true remark, zombie head remark by Ken Hazer.
Nice.
Suggested retail of $69.99. And this is going to be a best offer book starting at $10.
Oh, wow. Nice.
All right. Let's see here. All right. So then we have our final best offer book, Star Wars The Mandalorian #1, Comic Exposure Virgin Edition, CGC graded 9.8. Suggested retail of $99.99. And we have the one available best offer starting at $30. All right. So that takes care of our best offers. So
we get Mandalorian season 3, what, in January?
Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I just got to tell you guys, Jay really wanted to be here, but he works for a rather large grocer, and it's that time of year where he's living inside a freezer at this point.
Oh, yeah, I guess so, right? So, interesting story, though. So, my daughter decided she was, all right, Marcus, you got it, buddy. So, my daughter decided that she was going to host Thanksgiving.
At your house? Isn't that you hosting Thanksgiving?
No, actually, hold on.
I'm surprised you didn't
hold
call
on.
me.
Market. All right, Jeff. Gotcha, Jeff. So Jeff is in the lead. So her boyfriend's got an apartment in Collingswood.
Oh, okay.
So they did it there. And I was a little nervous. CJ, I'm going to tell you.
Dude, why are you nervous? I've seen some of the things you've eaten, man.
Yeah. So that should give you some explanation. All right. So daughter went and got the turkey. I said, okay. I didn't know how many people she was having over. She invited a couple of friends who didn't end up coming. So it was me, my ex-wife, and her little and my daughter's little brother, ex-wife's son, and she bought the turkey, and whatever else, and that was all fine. And then I had a really proud, all right, and weird, The Walking Dead, gotcha, buddy.
Before you go any further, let me tell everyone, and I hope everyone had a great Halloween.
Stevie B was actually in first on The Walking Dead, by the way.
With like blended families or whatever, my respect is immense. I cannot behave well and engage with my own actual family. To sit there and be, you know what I mean, with a blended family or whatever, I tune out. I don't listen.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
I have tremendous respect for people.
Well,
like,
let me say this.
This is my ex-wife, and I'm like, I'm barely paying attention to my real live wife.
So all right, so let me explain. Stevie B. Oh, so Stevie B was actually first. Yeah, I'm sorry, weird. So you're gonna have to come up somebody. Stevie B is actually beat you to it by like a millisecond.
$10
so
for chicken wings.
I had a proud and not proud moment all at the same time with my daughter, right? So midway through the day on Wednesday, I said, I'm going to call her, right? So first of all, to remind her, like, look, you got to put the turkey in early depending on the pounds, okay? You need to look that up, okay? You don't want to get caught, whatever, right? She's like, yeah, no, I'm going to do it. I said, listen, there's something else. I said, you need to reach into the cavity of the turkey. There should be a bag there, okay? And in the bag, I said, will be the neck and the gizzard, and you got to pull that out, Okay. It's usually a plastic bag, I said. She goes, oh, I know that, Dad. And at that moment, I was so proud. Okay. Thinking that, oh, you must have learned something or listen to me. And nope. She goes, then follows up with, oh, I saw a video on TikTok about that. And some person didn't take the bag out and they cooked the turkey. And all of a sudden I was less proud.
Oh, no.
So, but it came out good.
With no giblet stuffing?
No giblet stuffing. She made this. I'm gonna call it out because I know she's never watching the show. All right, Edward, got you for 12, buddy. So there was some sort of just all kinds of vegetables crammed in the cavity of the turkey. I don't know what was going on there. The mac and cheese was quite good. And then she made some traditional Chinese dishes that I used to make when she was little, which was nice. And all in all, it came out pretty well. It came out very well, although my daughter and their boyfriend, and I don't want to say anything at the time, but they broke one of the main etiquettes of Thanksgiving dinner. It happens at the end. Go ahead, John. You can take a guess.
Was it dessert or?
Nope. I brought 2 pies, which we did not get into. There was so much food. She kind of overmade food, which is fine.
Which is fine.
Yeah, which is what you're supposed to do. But no.
I don't know what she did.
I walked out of there because I was waiting.
In a container?
So I ended up retracting one of my pies. I said, you can choose. Do you want the pumpkin or you want the apple?
Oh, no.
And she still didn't get the hit. I still haven't said anything, but I'm probably going to mention something this week. My road trip in adventure. Hey, it's got to be Bueller. What's going on, buddy? I'm guessing that's Bueller. If I'm wrong, let me know.
When your estranged son calls later during the show.
I'm going to say, would you give me leftovers?
I bet. One of the things I learned early on from catering when I would do Thanksgiving is I would hit up a friend generally who had a Chinese restaurant. So I would get the different size containers, like the quarts and the pints and stuff like that. And everybody, as soon as dinner was over, everybody's free stuff was out there. And then I could disappear. Dishwasher was on. I grabbed a pie and I disappeared.
Yeah, I was a little upset that my daughter missed that part of the etiquette. She's been to dinner with me enough times when we go somewhere to somebody else's house. But what you mentioned about blended families, that 4 turkeys, 4 ways, buffalo BBQ traditional, and Italian brine. That sounds interesting. Preston, I got to be honest with you. I did look up to make sure that the Wawa on my way home was going to be open 24 hours and was open on Thursday.
You get your gobbler.
I decided that on Wednesday in the event that the turkey went real bad because I wasn't going to say a word. I would just muscle through it.
Choke it down.
But figured that I would stop at Wawa and get my gobbler on the way home. But, it turned out really good. Almost, Stevie B. I did at least make plans. But it turned out fine. I was proud of her. It was a lot of food. Did a good job. But what you were saying about blended families, it's a weird situation. My ex-wife and I have finally found that equilibrium.
Nice.
Where when she gets on my nerves, I just don't call her, don't talk to her, and for a little while, for anything. But it's a little brother. So that's what it is. So I've known him since he was like
gotcha.
2+ months old.
I just love people that are that mature. I just absolutely love it. When I used to cook, I didn't get bothered too much because people would be like, they just bomb into the kitchen for something to snack and they'd leave. And it was great, right? Once I stopped cooking and I had to be like the guest at Thanksgiving.
And be there and hang with them.
Be there. There were people that were expecting interactions. And meanwhile, I'm here on my phone, right? And last night I'm watching. This year, I said, almost immediately, my wife was like, "Well, don't just watch it." I said, "I'm never watching 1899." I said, "It's like a 10-episode thing. I can't just, because your aunt wants to ask me about, cake or something." And so I'm just sitting in the corner, and I'm thinking to myself, I know there are people that have Friendsgivings and all this stuff, and I admire them so much because these are people I'm related to in many cases by blood or marriage. I'm just not there.
For me, Marcus and Cornelius the squirrel. Oh my God.
Oh my God, Cornelius! Imagine he was outside rapping, and they didn't let him in.
Oh, he's a Medford. That's a long way to travel for a squirrel. Let me do this way. So Saturday, the facility that my daughter works at, and the team she coaches, they're out of. They have a baseball side. So they were throwing a free clinic. So I actually took them. That's how I ended up at Ziza's. the little diner
Gotcha.
place.
Okay.
Because I showed up at 9 and then his session didn't start until 11. So I took him out and, to have some breakfast. But take the pie and say you're taking it to Cornelius. Marcus, I just said I'm taking one of the pies back. Period. End of story. I brought the pies. I can take them back. All right. So let's do, we're going to go to break in a little bit here. So let's do another book. Let's see. Let's do this one. Marvel Spider-Man, The Black Cat Strikes #1, signed by Dennis Hopeless Hallam. Suggested retail of $69.99, and it is #1. So first in the edition of only 25 signed in silver, and is one of our 5-star $50 books.
That means before his wrist started hurting, you get the pristine signature here and no pen runnage. You know what I'm saying?
I always want 1 or 2 of 25, not 24 or 25, because 24 or 25 is like a check mark on a grocery list.
All right, Steve B needs a name drop before we go to break. He wants to check out his new flask. You better have 2 of them, Steve B.
Okay, I was talking to Catman and Kitten, which comes out this Wednesday from Dynamite. I was talking to Jeff Parker, and almost everything Jeff Parker has ever worked on, I've liked. I've terrorized this guy even before the birth of Twitter. Super patient, listening to my feedback, as we call it.
Maybe he's just a little afraid.
He said this was the first time he thought that he did something that I wouldn't like, and I do like it, of course. It's a style thing, but he's like, Catman and Kitten is like a pretty obscure deep dive, even for Project Superpowers. These aren't like prevalent characters in Project Superpowers, but Jeff did what he always does. Worked with Jonathan Case, there's some really cool covers or whatever, but he found a way to make a character that isn't the first or second or even third name, on your list.
Right.
Really interesting. There have been attempts to do stuff with Catman and Kitten before, and they've been of varying success. I think when people pick up the first issue of this, they're going to seriously enjoy it.
Joel in the house, Emmy Comics in the house. Did I mention that already? I may have. I'm getting old. All right. So Robbie, anything, you said that you got to relax. Did you? Now your family's around there?
Yeah, we got family here. We had a nice, fun, quiet Thanksgiving. Wasn't as many people as typically, and it was a nice little time. Like I said, I got to watch the Cowboys win on Thanksgiving, and that has not happened in a while.
So yeah, good day of football. Interesting season in the NFL.
Well, one of the things I've been told by people in the South, Thanksgiving is a lot more relaxed and a lot less Martha Stewart. When you get north of like Baltimore, people start getting real. I have friends on the West Coast too. They're like, oh, we have a great time, family, whatever. It's no big deal. People in that sort of Northeast Pilgrim part of the country, you know what I mean? It's almost like people are freaking out. I don't have this. That I remember the orange zest and my cranberry relish. I'm like, you know what? As somebody who used to do this for a living, just enjoy the time with your family. I mean, not me personally. I don't like my own family, but for other people, they should probably be taking that time, watching a game, a movie. I don't care what it is, the parade. And I'm surprised at the number of people still. I talk to friends who are in upstate New York, friends who live in Rhode Island, and like the pressure's on. They start cooking on Monday for Thursday. And I'm like,
I would have to agree with that.
That's wild. Then I talk to my friends down, I have a friend who's out in Iowa. He teaches at a chiropractic college. He's like, no, man. He's like, we got a bird. We dropped it in the deep fryer. We cracked it open. It's beers when we're watching football.
Yeah. I gotta agree with John's statement, but we got to go to our first break. So we're going to take our first break. We'll be right back and we'll pick up some more turkey talk.
Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out. Twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. You just finished the last episode of your favorite new show, and you just have to talk about it. But all your friends are ghosting you because of that incident last week at the buffet. Oh, you know the one. What you did to that chowder. Ugh. Keeps me up at night. So what do? Join writer Dan Wickline as he breaks down all your favorite pop culture media. Whether it's a review of the latest nerdy TV show or a dive back into the history of your favorite comic characters, Dan's ready to discuss all the hottest topics live. Join the conversation as Dan live streams Tuesday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The Dan Wickline Show, on The Experience, comic culture and sales.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show.
All right, and we're back. All right, so so the bots are out working overtime. So we may actually see more bots than we normally see, mainly because so they're protesting in China over the tight COVID restrictions, which is very unusual for that country. And I just read that one of the ways that the government is censoring them is by using these sex site bots to block everything. What? Yeah, believe it or not. I'm not an IT guy. I don't know how that works, but it seems somewhat interesting to me that was their that was unfortunately their only solution to the problem. But yeah, so yeah, I agree with what John was saying earlier. There's this pressure in my ex-wife and her entire family. There was this kind of pressure. I'll never forget. When we were first together, whatever, and we had my daughter, and she was very little. And I remember getting up Thanksgiving Day, and it's your day off, whatever, so you're lounging around, whatever. And my ex-wife comes downstairs, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm watching TV. I'm getting ready to watch the first game." "Why?" She goes, "You got to get ready." I said, "For what?" I said, "I'm watching a parade, and then there's a pregame stuff, and why?" She goes, "We got to be at my mom's house." Yeah. I'm like, "Why?" "Well, it's like 10 o'clock. Yeah. She goes, "Well, we got to eat at 1. I'm like, "Who eats dinner at 1?
Yeah. It's a weird holiday thing. Certain families, and it is just how it is. I'm discovering this now late in our marriage because I wasn't there. My wife would go to her family's, and I would be like, "I'll see you at 10 o'clock tonight."
Right.
And, I said, we have a choice. We can either live in a box and be homeless, or I can work on a holiday when people actually, no one's going to pay me to make them dinner on Tuesday, but they'll pay me to make them dinner on Thanksgiving Day. So now I'm starting to see all this kind of weird little stuff that either I didn't know or I took for granted. And it's wild to me. Like professionally, and Kyle probably knows this too. You do a fire sheet or a prep list of what you have to do and how you have to do it, so you get to where you need to go as a professional. There are like home cooks using like prep lists and spreadsheets and stuff like that to figure out where they're going to cook it, and then like graphs of the refrigerators to where they're going to stack stuff. And I'm like, I think some of you people maybe I understand it's feeding a lot of people or whatever, but you know what I mean? If somebody gets more potatoes and stuffing, they'll make it.
By Tuesday, we had 3 smokers going basically nonstop.
Yeah, that's
through Thursday afternoon. Our final count was 70 plus. I don't know the exact number, but I know it was at least 72, 73 catered turkeys. that we did for Thanksgiving. It's nobody's sleeping. Everybody's setting alarms and sleeping in chairs in the garage so you can get up and baste when you need to. It's a whole thing, and
you're basting yourself with bourbon.
Right. Our family eats at 1 because then we have the second wave of people who come to pick up turkeys.
Yeah, they come to pick up dinner. Turkeys.
We eat early because we can make a bunch of money after dinner or after lunch.
Exactly.
So spend on Friday.
Yeah, if you're in the food business, I sort of get it. Okay, let me preface this by saying that nobody in my in-law side has ever been in the food business. Okay, the closest they've come to the food business is going to a restaurant to eat. Okay, so there's no call for this. So
I agree with you, CJ.
I'll tell you my thoughts on it. My thoughts are this, basically, right? So my family, we used to always do the 1 to 2 o'clock start, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when my mom and my stepdad got divorced, now there's 2 different houses. So now one did it later, one did it earlier. Then my grandmother wanted to do her own thing, and my uncles. So like there were times where there would literally be 3 or 4 different Thanksgivings I had to go to. And at this point in my life, I'm like, let's do it as early as possible because you're taking away my day off. Like I'm off today. I want to chill at the house and just watch some movies.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Get it over with so I can go home and do that at night and just chill. So that's how I feel.
Christmas during that period of time was even worse. Oh my God, I can't even go into that. But no, exactly. So while we were there, hey, road collecting, what's going on, man? So while we were there, I could see my ex-wife starting to show that
well, it's not even just the parade; it's the dog show. Man.
Well, she's getting on my dog. So midway through the day, I get a call from my daughter. Okay, like, I'm getting ready to tell Mom, don't even bother coming. I'm like, what? Why? Why? Well, inevitably, I'm at least half responsible for any suffering that she has to do in the hands of her mom.
And a sandwich.
And I'm like, why? What happened? She's like, she's making me nuts. She's doing that. And I'm like, listen, all right. So I pulled out the big guns. I said, listen. I said, that's not fair to your brother. Okay, it's not his fault. He's 10. Okay, he didn't have nothing to do with this. He deserves Thanksgiving, right? So that calmed her down a little bit. And then, I'm trying to, so I'm watching the first game, and then I'm watching the beginning of the second game before I go over because I know that they don't have like cable or anything like that, right? So I have to watch it on my phone. So all of a sudden, I start getting texts from my daughter. Did you leave the house yet? Are you coming? Are you going to be here soon? And that's usually a signal that her mom is making her totally nuts, right? So I get there. Immediately open one of the bottles of wine that I brought. Okay, drink half of it, and then I remember I had to say, as midway through the dinner prep, I had to yell over to everybody, "Hey, relax! It's just Thanksgiving. Nobody's gonna die unless the turkey's bad. Okay, everybody, chill out and take a step here. Okay."
We did. Speaking, somebody brought up spam. There was a spam appetizer at our friend's Thanksgiving that we did. There was some. I didn't do any of the cooking, but I was emailed for suggestions. Like, what do you think? They wanted to make it something different, and I said spam musubi. I said it's pretty easy to put together. I said, and it's something different. I mean, there's always the same stuff. There tends to be, like, people make the little hot dogs in the blankets, or so he was specifically looking for something different. So I said, why don't you make more ethnic dishes for the appetizers? Because most people, especially olds like me, I just want my turkey and stuffing. I mean, most days I'm happy to try something wild and crazy. That one day of the year, I want my Norman Rockwell dinner. You know what I mean? It's that one day where I'm not interested.
I'll tell you what, man. When I first joined you on this show, and that's where we started talking about spam randomly. You mentioned spam with Subi, right? And bruh, since that Hawaiian restaurant opened up in my town, I eat that stuff all the time.
There you go. There you go.
It's super tasty.
You might want to have your cholesterol checked though.
Yeah,
if you haven't recently.
That sauce is so good that you dip it in. Oh my God.
I gave him the recipe for the sauce. I also suggested he leave half the spam musubi as is. The other half he brushed with just a little gochujang, not just a little bit. So some of them were a little bit on the spicier side. Everybody had a great time. I said this is sort of your your swap out for pigs in the blanket. Because everybody goes to get little cocktail franks, and then they go and they get like the crescent rolls, right? And you see somebody there, they're cutting and rolling. You can do that at home. Yeah. You know, if you really want to do something a little bit different for Thanksgiving, I said, so he made spam musubi, and he made them a little bit smaller. They were really, spam musubi should be about this big. He made them a little bit smaller, so they're like finger food. They disappeared. People love them.
I'm sorry, CJ Design. I think you're referring to pork roll.
Pork roll, Taylor ham. And CJ asked me too. The shore was nice. I love going to, since I retired, I love going to off-season areas, whether, because I grew up down on Long Beach Island. I sort of enjoy the the seasonality of places. So in the off-season, it's great. Yeah, sure, a lot of the stuff is closed. It's not crowded. Parking isn't a problem.
That's true.
A buddy of mine lives on the block between the bay and the ocean. So there's this sort of great park, walk over to the bay, walk over to the ocean. I mean, I stayed there for a while. You know, and they're like, oh, we're going to go back and have pie. And I'm like, I've had pie, thanks. I'm good. So I just kind of hung up there with my
I've had pie. I've made pie. I'm good.
Well, 1899 is like a nautical horror thing. And it was cool to watch a couple episodes right like by there's like a little pavilion. And then there's the beach and the ocean. So it was kind of cool to kind of be sitting there and hearing the ocean. It was a little chilly and rainy and stuff like that. But if you see the show, that all kind of fits right into it.
Happy birthday, Kenneth Bird. All right, let's get to another book.
Oh, happy birthday, Kenneth.
But I agree with you, the cycle of always the same thing. Silver Surfer Rebirth #1 variant signed by, it's a Dan Jurgens variant signed by Dan Jurgens.
Oh.
Suggested retail $49.99. It is 57 out of only 60 signed.
You mean the Lord of the Jungle guy did something else?
Yeah, he's done a few things, I heard. And we have it available, number 57 of 60 for $30.
I don't know if the person who asked this, if you could put it again, someone asked us if Edwin Silvio, I don't remember who it was, but they asked if they had any work coming. They had worked at Dynamite. They'd done some stuff for Dynamite 4 or 5 years ago. If Nick sees it in the chat, he'll probably know, right?
Good point. Road collecting, what's going on, man?
Yeah, 1899 is really good, man. It had all the kind of stuff I like. There's like a little bit of a Lovecraft vibe. You know what I mean? I haven't seen all of Dark figure drawing. I've watched, I guess, the first season and part of the second season. Dark is really good. It's just one of those things that unfortunately keeps getting bumped because, you know, Marvel has stuff, Star Wars has stuff. Netflix is always in, like, I hate to say it, but Netflix is in like that lower position.
Right.
Like the Disney Plus stuff is here. Well, the movies are here, and then Disney Plus is here.
So
Dark is really well done too. Well, the people who did 1899, I understand, did Dark first. So we sort of, you know, they're kind of like with horror. As soon as I know somebody does one thing really good, A24 or whatever, I'm in. I think, Robbie, we talked about this before, right? Like I see something from Blumhouse or something, and I'm like, who's working on it? And then I'm comfortable with it, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm good. Certain things I don't even, like, you just need to tell me. I talked to Robbie about this a little bit. I texted him. There is, and this is a weird little thing that you can get over on Shudder. It's probably on some of the other services too. I never expected, like, the Irish to be good at horror. Maybe that was me being short-sighted. The last 9-10 years, they have put out some very cool, and I always pester Robbie with this, like in the middle of the night, like, hey, dude, have you seen this? But it's really neat. It's like one of those things you put on. It's quiet. It's very like performer and script driven. You know, there's not a ton of special effects or whatever. But when you've watched as many years of horror as some of us have, it's like a refreshing change of pace.
Oh, that reminds me. Are you doing the movie review tonight?
Yes,
Godfather.
we're wrapping up our Godfather series with Godfather 3.
Did 2 last week.
Yeah, Godfather 3, which I think is better than other people realize. Like, I know a lot of people have their notes and all that stuff, but I don't think it's a perfect movie. It's better than a lot of other movies, but the problem is it's called The Godfather Part 3, so you got to compare it to 1 and 2, and it's unfair to compare any movie to those. But I really like The Godfather.
I would agree with you. I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good way to kind of button it up, if you will, in a sense.
Yeah,
I think so too. And somebody pointed out that it's sort of mirrored, and I don't know how well I know this, but being from the Northeast, we've been saturated with a lot of organized crime. Cosa Nostra organized crime over the last 60, 70 years. And the way that's sort of leveled off by the time you get to the time of Godfather 3 is almost sort of reflected in the Godfather 3.
Right.
Where at this point, Michael Corleone is like, you know what? I've made like $1 zillion. I really just want to sort of, sit on the bench and feed the pigeons and wear my hat and let the money go to my family, and I'm good.
My only problem was there was that controversy about casting the daughter.
I put his daughter in or something.
Yeah, well, no, I thought Winona Ryder would have done a better job.
Yeah, it was originally Winona Ryder, but she was dealing with some kind of medical issue, and they delayed shooting all of her scenes, waiting on her, and then she wasn't able to do it. So then he was like, "I based the character on my daughter. Let me go ahead and put her in there."
Put her in there.
She wasn't an actor, and she's not very good in the movie. She's a great director. She's done amazing
work. I was going to say, she's like a real cinephile. She just wasn't an on-screen performer. And yes, somebody said it. Anything from IFC Midnight, I've seen several of those movies, and none of them have been terrible. When you're looking for good horror, I mean, especially, the primer stuff out there, right? Like, it gets the big push, Smile, Barbarian. They really put these things out there for us. And they were good movies, no complaints. But beyond that, you really have to kind of start looking. Because horror still to this day doesn't get the kind of market budget push that I wish it did. You know what I mean? I have to sort of look and see, well, who made this? And especially now in streaming services.
So, yeah, I mean, I obviously compared to the other two, you'd have to say, but if it wasn't compared to the other two, I think it was a good movie. I really do.
Yeah, and
it had a nice kind of way to close everything up.
Yeah, and because when you watch all three, especially like in such a short amount of time, you realize the whole story is about Michael Corleone. Yeah. He believes in the very first movie that he can take over the family, and he tells Kay, his wife, in 5 years will be legitimate. And the whole series of movies is him trying to do that, even to the point now where he's working with the Vatican, and he finds out that they're corrupt too. And he's like, there's that moment where he's like, the cleaner I get, the higher up I get, the more crooked it is.
Yeah. There's Well, if you watch, I really like, some people don't like watching it this way. I actually love Godfather Coda. I like watching
the chronological
in the chronological
I did too. I really enjoyed that.
Really Godfather Saga.
Saga.
Right?
I think
Coda, by the way, is a re-edit of 3, which I watched, and I want my money back on my Blu-ray because they literally just clipped 10 seconds off the end and rearranged the first 15 minutes. I'm just telling you, man.
I've heard that. I'm sorry. Yeah. Godfather Saga, I think, makes Godfather 3 look better. Like, it's more like in context, and I think it just flows a little bit better. And the way you actually see Pacino change, because the way the movie was shot or whatever, it's very cool. I mean, you see him as like a baby, and then you see him in Godfather 2, and then you kind of get to the end, and you're like, literally, this guy has been born into this from the go.
It kind of flows a little bit better.
Yeah.
I thought FC just asked a question, appeared. I thought it was FC. Something about the there it is. FC, do me a favor, fill out the submission form with your contact info, because I don't know if we have it, and remind me that that's what you're asking, and I'll take a look at the inventory, see if we have one around.
You talking about archive editions or whatever of like the Warren stuff? Is he talking about the archive editions of the Warren stuff?
He said Omni, so I assume he's looking up above John's head.
Some of those are like comic holders, right? Some of those are comic holders up there, I think. Aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're right, Robbie. So, but, if we have them in stock, I'll try to, I'll find out for you. All right. There we go. Thank you, Kyle.
Volume 1 once?
What's that?
Didn't we do like Vampiro?
I have no idea.
It's been a while.
All right. So you're right. Let's get to another book. So let's do Invincible Iron Man number 500. Signed by Matt Fraction.
Wow.
Suggested retail of, let's see, $49.99. Oh, I'm sorry. We have one available for 5-star $50, and it is number 34 out of 300 signed.
So one time I was hanging out with Matt Fraction in Charlotte. So anybody drink.
Yeah, I
there you
just
go.
had some names up, man.
We were talking about his Jimmy Olsen run. We were talking about this Iron Man run. And just the other day at the shop, somebody was asking us, hey, I want to get into Iron Man. Where do we go? And so we started coming up with things. I'm like, well, Demon in a Bottle, I think is a necessary read. Armor Wars, the original. We were talking about some of the Kurt Busiek stuff, some of the Joe Quesada stuff that he did, Man in the Iron Mask or whatever. And then in Warren Ellis's run, which did with Extremis, right? All that stuff. But
yeah.
It all came around to the idea that the best of all of those Iron Man stories is encapsulated in this really solid Iron Man run by Matt Fraction. And Matt Fraction is such a cool, smart dude. And it was such a pleasure to meet him and hang out with him for a little bit back in the day in 2019. So there you go. Just wanted to give everybody a name drop and let everybody know that this Iron Man run by him is excellent, top-notch stuff. Really good.
All right. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do Cyber Monday. So on the
back in my day, that meant something completely different.
In my day too. All right. So Invincible Iron Man number 500. Let's do Cyber Monday and let's go with $19.99.
Oh,
Nice.
So
for the year 1999 when Robbie graduated high school. I like that, Rex. That's a cool throwback. I like that.
I didn't even know that. All right.
What I like about this cover, it has a little bit of slight, like superior Iron Man energy.
A little bit.
I love those covers. To me, I always think Tony Stark. To me, that's like the quintessential villain, especially nowadays. Like, billionaire genius dude. That screams supervillain to me. You could scrape all the other people away. The next big story is Iron Man kind of taking over the planet, and I like that a little bit. They did that superior Iron Man, but the covers were like a big departure from what they had done previously. And I think this, to a certain extent, really is too.
All right, so let's do a REXCAP.
We've only done 4 books.
What's that?
We've only done 4 books.
No, we've done 5. Open build repeat. Thanks for joining us, man. You got it, buddy. That one is yours. Let me get you down here. Open build. Okay. And
I have to tell you, as someone who has all this Vampirella stuff from Warren magazines and stuff like that, it is so nice to just have the omnibus handy to dig that stuff out, and then you're putting it back in. And I mean, sometimes if I have reading copies of certain runs from Warren, just because I love that format. That's my favorite format, even more than comic books, is a magazine, right? Kind of like the Warren Curtis verse format. But I got to tell you, finding what you want to look at or whatever, it's just nice to have these sitting up on the shelf. A buddy of mine ordered them a while back. And, he's like, I don't even know where some of that stuff is in my collection anymore.
So OBR, Kyle's going to throw back up the link to the submission form. Just fill that out. Very important. Give us your full name, ship to address, and email address as well. And we will go ahead and email you a invoice tomorrow with all the pertinent information. And once again, thanks for joining us, man. What was I saying? What were we talking about? My God, I've had way too much turkey.
I'll just tell you that I have the first volume of the Dynamite collection of the Warren years of Vampirella, and I love it. I got to get that's a full collection I want, because that's my jam. That's what I'm into. Creepy, eerie, Tales from the Crypt, stuff like that. And I was really surprised when I first started reading it that Vampirella is like a horror host at the very beginning of that, before she kind of takes over as a character, right? That's cool stuff. Great artwork too. Oh my goodness.
One of the cosplayers, Rachel Holland, sort of recreated that for Halloween. She almost sort of revisited.
Watch this. Didn't you talk to her today?
I talk to her almost every day.
All right, so there you go.
But she's going to be at LA Comic-Con this weekend. She's signing a bunch of con exclusive covers that Dynamite, did for her. If you're out that way, go check her out. Say hi. She posted where she'll be. I think she's between Writers Row and Artist Alley.
Okay.
But she actually did almost like a throwback video for Halloween for that. And it was like you would get a horror story, and Vampirella was almost done in the margins. You know what I mean? There were panels where she would be like luxuriating over the panel. Like you'd see her hair or something like that. It was very cool. Yeah, Vampirella was Elvira before Elvira for a certain extent.
Which is based on Vampira, right? So.
Yeah, there's sort of a Nora, I can't remember her name now, but Dead Sled Coffee got a hold of It's Rex's son calling again. We told you not to have that boy call during the show.
No, this is actually my legitimate kid, my daughter.
But
Who cannot seem to remember that I'm live streaming on Monday and
actual
Wednesdays.
one. Have her join the show.
You know how
Hi,
you
you're on
fix
the air
that,
with
Rex?
What's that?
You know how you fix that? You answer
that?
on speakerphone and then don't tell her.
You're in the chat.
She
Yeah.
get mortified. She'll stop calling.
Yeah.
But then it'd be bad. She'd be like, Dad, I
The
picked up your
radioactive
hemorrhoid
fallout
cream.
on that is not worth it. Not worth it. Trust me.
Like, Dad, I picked up your hemorrhoid cream and your condom.
She would never do that for me. I have to go get my own hemorrhoid cream. Sorry.
I will say that though, and I someone asked me why I didn't warn them, so I will. We're kind of talking about Vampirella from the Warren years. If you're used to Vampirella from the Dynamite years, just be prepared. Not only is it it's the same character, but it's a completely different era. It's a different writing style, and it's a different format. These were magazines, you know what I mean? It seems like, there wouldn't be much of a difference, but the people who've read the Warren stuff, read the Harris stuff, read the Dynamite stuff, each one sort of has its own unique sort of, the Harris stuff is very influenced by the 90s.
Right.
It is tons of panels and pinups and stuff like that, and the story is, it doesn't matter that much. The Warren stuff is very, very, very story driven. And like I said, you get these things in the beginning where, it's like I tell people the beginning of Vampirella is almost analogous to the beginning of Dark Shadows and Barnabas Collins. Season 1, he's not even there. By season 2, season 3, he becomes the centerpiece for the whole show. But in the beginning, just like with Vampirella, she's just kind of there to say hi and blah, blah, blah. And then, by the time you get, several issues into it, nobody cares about the horror story.
Right.
They just care about the host.
Yeah, but from the get-go, you get some of the best comic art you're going to find from 1969 and 1970.
From
Great stuff.
All right, so let's throw another book out there before we gotta go to break. This is a good one. Savage Tales, Incentive Virgin, 1 in 10 ratio cover by Roshan Kurichana. Oh my God, there's no way, dude.
Why would you pick this book?
I didn't.
Don't
Somebody
give
picked
this
it
to
for
me. She's going to become like JoJo Smith. I can't. Wait, where is this?
Savage Tales.
I would just say Roshan K. Roshan K.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that, Robbie. We're going with
It looks like
Roshan
it's
K.
Roshan Kurichana.
That's pretty good, I guess. All right, anyway. Virgin Incentive 1 in 10 ratio cover. Suggested retail of $50, and we have this one for $15.
I think Roshan K makes it. Yes, the
Roshan
artists
K, I
love the
like that,
freedom.
Robbie.
Yeah, that was really good. The artists in those books, they love the freedom, tones, black and white. You didn't have the comics code hanging over their head. They had a lot more freedom. People who, over the years, have kind of turned on to the magazine format, even things like Rampaging Hulk, Marvel had some really cool horror stuff. It's just a different vibe.
Right.
It's a different energy. Some people like it. There have been people that are like, dude, why am I reading this? This is terrible. Planet of the Apes, probably, and I'm certainly not bashing on anything that gets done now by Planet of the Apes. Boom Studios does a good job. I'm thinking Marvel will probably do a good job. But the best Planet of the Apes stuff beyond the movies is in magazine form. They had some very cool stuff back in the day.
All right, Preston, you got it, buddy. Hold on, let me find it here. You got it, Preston. And it's not a best offer, so you've got it. Joshua Charles Glenmeyer. What's going on, Joshua?
Stuck.
Thanks for joining us.
Like in the chat, is he stuck or is he frozen?
He's in
I don't know.
quicksand. He's in quicksand right now, like in one of those movies from the 80s.
He might be referring to my daughter calling. So
Did you call him again?
No. All right, so you know what? We got to go to our next break. So let me go find out, and I'll come back and report to everybody.
Who would win, Batman or Superman? It's the age-old debate, except it's so much more complicated than that. Nerd Killer Warfare every week on The Experience is your chance to debate other nerds in the questions we've all been asking for years, except we take those debates and turn them up to 11. Go to bit.ly/EXP casting or scan the QR code to be part of the show.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Comic Collectables is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons. To sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectables on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
All right, and we're back. And proud of my daughter. She's trying to use up the rest of the carved up turkey, but got to the, I guess, to the very interior and saw congealed blood and was concerned about it. But she called her mom, so.
So she's wondering what to do with all them leftovers that she didn't give you, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I told her I'd call her later. I'll bring that up when I get home. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say I posted a picture of the Thanksgiving leftover sandwich.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
Did you see that?
You posted several.
Yeah,
it's a matter of fact.
Well, it was funny. I did next to nothing, and my wife and I left with like a bag of leftovers, which is why I think you're funny. You're like, I have to take my pie back. I mean, it was literally like a whole food like plastic bag filled with this and that and this and that, and I was just like, I'm probably not going to eat this as turkey again. So I started messing around with it. There's a Mexican lasagna that has
nice
Mexican lasagna that'll have cranberry sauce is a great base.
I love cranberry sauce.
I added some.
She forgot
some
cranberry sauce,
and you really kind of mess with it a little.
Oh, my daughter completely forgot the cranberry sauce. So that was disappointing. I didn't say a word.
And
wait, what?
You can't forget the cranberry sauce.
Well, it happened.
I love the cranberry sauce. I like it with cornbread, actually. A lot of people like their rolls or whatnot. I like cornbread with my cranberry sauce. And do you guys like the whole berry sauce or you like the jelly stuff? I like the whole berry and all that stuff, right? Or if it's homemade with like you were saying earlier with the orange peel and all that kind of stuff. But I can't stand the gelatinous one that's just like slices.
I like the gelatinous one. I like the cranberries.
A favorite. That one is very good if you want to do like the gobbler hoagie because you can slice that as a layer.
I always get the bowl.
For me, to me it's too easy. For me, it's cranberries, orange juice, orange zest, ginger ale, horseradish. Take it for a blitz.
Ginger ale.
It's like a dipping sauce. All those flavors kind of work with cranberry, ginger, orange, horseradish.
I love horseradish.
It adds like a little. Cranberry is finicky because it doesn't work with every form of heat. Like I guess most people, I'm going to add jalapeno to this, and there's nothing wrong with that. cranberry has a unique bitterness that a lot of heat components don't work well with. Like I tried over the years with sriracha and gochujang, and there's just, it doesn't work. It's not bad, but it's not great. Horseradish seems to add a shot. Whole berry cranberry sauce seems to really add, horseradish adds the necessary shot to it. The orange adds a little bit of sweetness. The ginger ale adds a little bit of, almost like, I don't want to say sour because that's not right, but it lifts it a little bit. And then you just kind of take it for a blitz. I sit it in the fridge. Next day, you kind of pour it out. And more than a jelly or a relish, it's literally like a dipping sauce.
So, Joshua Charles, you're going to have to elaborate, my friend. We don't know what you mean. You're stuck. But my suggestion is, if you want to see all the comments from all the viewers, you're probably better off using YouTube as opposed to Facebook. You're not seeing everybody that's on YouTube. CJ Design. Actually, I'm super proud of my daughter. So she's making this Chinese rice porridge dish, and she's throwing a turkey in there. It's called congee, which I used to make when she was little. Like
rice porridge, right?
Yeah. So she's making a lot of stuff these days that I made for her growing up. And I obviously make a lot of stuff that my mom made when I was growing up. My dad was a big soup guy, so I used to make a lot of soup for her. So she's doing that now too. So that's kind of nice to hear that. But you're calling me about the turkey. I mean, isn't there a TikTok for that? Come on, man.
Cats in the cradle, man. Eventually she'll stop calling you entirely.
That's true. True.
You'll be like, oh, I miss my daughter calling me.
That's a good point. I can't disagree with that. All right, so let's throw another book up there. Let's see. You know what? We have a blind combo pack as well today.
Oh, nice.
All right, so let's throw the anniversary special Superman number 75 special edition signed by Dan Jurgens. Death of Superman. My God, that was 30 years ago. Suggested retail of $49.99. It is number 22 of only 200 signed. And we have it tonight for $30.
I'll tell you this. I'm happy that DC commemorated the anniversary, that they put out the special, and they put out the special edition of the original 75 Death of Superman. But I have never heard so many customers of mine in the same week talk about, man, I'm getting old. Because by putting that 30th anniversary on this book, like, oh my goodness, everybody remembers where they were the day Superman died.
It reminds you of and it's a little depressing. It's been 30 years. So
that's the way I felt when I watched that Image movie, like the biography, The Making of Image. Like, I'm old enough to remember, man, this is super psyched and energy was crazy. And every week it was something new. And then you look at like the people in the video and you're like, oh my God, this was so long ago.
Yeah. It was 30 years ago. Same year as the Death of Superman. In fact, the Death of Superman was basically DC being like, how can we hit some of these Image numbers? Right?
So Easy Go Lucky. Yeah, that's awesome. My guess will be she didn't put enough water in it, my daughter. So it'll become, she that's the tricky part. Got to get enough water. Yeah.
Unless you make rice cakes.
What's that?
Unless you make rice cakes. Let her keep going the other direction. Add flour and just fry up some rice cakes.
Oh, man. So CJ Design, same thing, man. I don't have a recipe. Just kind of throw what you got kind of thing for soup. That's for sure. All right, so let's see.
Never made any soup. I've made chilies and stews, but I've never made a soup. I guess I need to learn. I'm sure
it's not hard, dude.
It's not hard. I just
really
gotta pick
hard.
a soup. I'm not really a soup eater, but sometimes I like a good like chicken vegetable soup or something like that, So
it's really not hard, man. Just throwing stuff in a pot and adding water.
What's the difference between stew and chili and soup? Like the thickness, right? I mean, that's basically
pretty much.
Like one of the things we did to break up this Thanksgiving that I was just at was, instead of like, sweet potato bisque or whatever you would normally serve, he served like a Mexican tortilla soup.
Oh, nice.
And that had like a lot of both deep flavor, and then there were he fried off a little bunch of jalapenos. So if you wanted like a more overt face front flavor, he did a really good job. I mean, he's like a hobbyist cook, but he did like a really, like he really went into it. He really tried his best.
So that reminds me. So every Thanksgiving at the in-laws, it was always the same dishes, no variation, same stories. I mean, I got to a point where it was just like, are you kidding me, dude? It's like watching a rerun over and over and over again. And one of the dishes was this cream of broccoli soup, which wasn't bad, but she killed the broccoli. Like either there's no broccoli in it, or there's just, a few, a little bit of, but it would be, she shredded the broccoli to the point where it's just like the little, it was like, oh my God.
Not only that, but I hate to say it, the older generation, they just like to cook vegetables to death, man. Lord knows I am not a healthy eater.
They want it mushy, right? My mom used to make asparagus that would like fall down. I like my vegetables crisp, like steamed. Yeah. Like that's why I steam most of my
vegetables. Have a little life to them, nutrition. When you cook something until it's like a unpleasant gray color,
just limp and like too green, like baby poo green.
I like that. Throw it in the garbage and you take it. I'm not a broccoli guy, man. I had someone tell me
I actually like broccoli.
My broccoli slaw. No,
I really do like broccoli.
I love broccoli.
What you can make it? Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I'm weird. I love vegetables. Like I love broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts. Like I love vegetables. I can just eat them.
I love Brussels sprouts, but you got to make those right.
Every vegetable. Brussels sprouts I take and I do, and of course this is not the healthy thing. I take them on the mandolin and I slice them real thin, and I cook them in a bunch of beef tallow.
I thought you were about to say lard and bacon.
No. That's for John's popcorn.
Lard, bacon, and M&Ms.
Because you cook them with beef tallow, and then you put them on top of like a prime rib, and you get like a nice little texture and a little, or like a nice tomahawk chop, because you don't want to take anything away from the meat, but maybe you want a little something.
Right.
So cooking them good. In,
I'm a big fan of crunch. Anything with crunch. In fact, in my meal preps that I do, because I like to meal prep for my lunches that I take to work, right? I've learned recently to use like cabbage, like chopped up cabbage instead of like lettuce or something, because it actually holds that crispness. So I've been making these taco bowls, right, with like cabbage, and you just mix it all. It's so good, right? Like, and I love cabbage. I love crispy, crunchy things. Absolutely. That's why I hate Taco Bell delivery, because it never comes crunchy.
You want to take a break from recipes? People are complaining about no comics in the chat.
Well, no, Stevie B just wants to know if he's missing anything. Stevie B, we have not gotten to the CCAs yet. All right, so you know what?
We're just going to bill Ron for them. He wants them.
This has been a tangent-filled episode for sure. I mean, we haven't even gotten any CCAs yet at all.
I know.
All right, so first one is Doctor Strange #1, signed with Clea cover sketch by Joe Del Beato and Mariano Nicieza.
I like this one a lot.
It's just a retail of $149.99, and we have the one available for $75.
Someone wrote Storm cover sketch in the little thing down there. This is obviously.
Oh no, we have another one. One.
Nice.
That's why. All right. So since you segue us into it, let's do that one. Doctor Strange #1, signed with Storm cover sketch by Geoffrey Gwynn and Mariano Nicieza.
It's Mohawk Storm. Oh my goodness! Yes.
It's just a retail of $149.99, and we have this one also available for $75. All right.
Love that the green on the highlights. I really like that. That's striking. I think that's cool.
I believe that's Mariano's work there.
Yeah, that's kind of unique though. That's usually not a color associated with Storm, right? Because you've got the white of her hair, and then whatever costume she's wearing, it's either black or white usually. And then you get the lightning, which also kind of tends to be white, maybe a little blue or purple in there.
Right. I
have not seen green before. I think that's very cool.
Wide collars.
Wide collars. I was about to say something about the collars, because she's got collars there, man. I love this.
All right.
When I first started reading X-Men comics, she was Mohawk Storm. And I always thought that looked BA, man. I thought that was badass.
That's like a huge thing in almost any like X-Men Facebook group. Somebody will bring up their favorite version of Storm. And, like it's on, there's Disco Storm, which was, there's Morlock Storm is the best Storm. Everybody sort of has their, Mohawks are like whatever version they like. I particularly like the Rogue Storm, when she kind of goes crazy. She's got like the glowing eyes and stuff. I like that one. That's kind of neat.
So, Eric, thanks for joining us, Man Station.
Oh, Vampire Storm. People are in love with Vampire Storm.
All right, so you know what? Let's do a REXCAP. It's time.
Okay, see, that's a very prevalent opinion. I guess that's Kyle. Mohawk Storm is the best Storm. Everyone else is wrong. That I would say, if you did a Storm pie chart, at least half the people want Mohawk Storm, and the other half want all the other different ones combined.
Right.
Yeah, and if it's more than half, if you're polling men from 40 to 50, then
Yes.
it's mostly Mohawk Storm.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's do the REXCAP. All right, here we go. So first off, we had Marvel's Spider-Man: The Black Cat Strikes #1, signed by Dennis Hopeless Hallam. Suggested retail of $69.99. It is #1, first in the edition of only 25 signed in silver, and we have one available for $50. Then we did Silver Surfer Rebirth #1 variant, signed by Dan Jurgens. Suggested retail of $49.99, and we have one number 57 of only 60 signed for $30. Then we had King in Black #1 Darkness Reigns variant, signed in silver by Ryan Stegman. Suggested retail of $69.99, and it is a best offer book starting at $29 for number 29.
That's a steal.
It is.
Then we
Like an
had
early Christmas gift.
Superman #75 special edition, signed by Dan Jurgens. Suggested retail of $49.99. It is number 22 of 200, and we have one available for $30. Then we had Walking Dead #144, signed and remarked with a zombie head sketch by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $69.99. Currently, Ed Weird is in the lead. It is a best offer book at $12.
That's a steal.
Well, Nick is giving, man. It's jolly old Saint Nick eating his vegetable sandwiches, and people are getting amazing books for like $10-12.
If Nick
So
ate
then we
bacon sandwiches, these books wouldn't be that cheap.
That's true.
Kyle's got bacon.
His cholesterol would be through the roof, though.
If Kyle and I had to stop a show, everything would be like $90 with the way we eat. Wait,
It's true. I had French toast sausage and bacon delivered during the first hour of this show. So,
See, there would be no hey, do you guys have a vegetable sandwich? We didn't even have vegetables. What do you mean veggie sandwich discount? No.
We're all talking about asparagus and broccoli, and Kyle's like, I got to get me some bacon French
Eat
toast.
some real food.
Oh my God. All right. So then we had Star Wars: The Mandalorian #1 comic exposure Virgin Edition, CGC graded 9.8. Excuse me. It is a best offer item, and Jeff is in the lead at 35.
That's such a good cover. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Then we had Doctor Strange #1, signed with Clea cover sketch by Joe Del Beato and Mariano Nicieza. Suggested retail of $149.99, and we have one available. All right. Creative Keep. I'm sorry there. I got you down, buddy.
That's right. If you're going to buy a book to make you feel old, at least have it signed by the creator.
Yeah, right.
There you go. All right. So where did I leave off? All right. So the Doctor Strange #1, signed with Clea cover sketch by Joe Del Beato and Mariano Nicieza. Suggested retail $149.99. We have the one available for $75. All right. Creative, I got you, bud.
I'll tell you what, if you ever have Dan sign any more of those, he needs to sign them. You're old, Dan Jurgens.
No, I don't want that. Why would I want that?
Instead of gold signature series, it should be like rust signature series. You haven't aged well, man.
All right. And then we did Doctor Strange #1, signed with Storm cover sketch by Geoffrey Gwynn and Mariano Nicieza.
Meanwhile, you see a picture of Dan Jurgens, he looks like $1 million. The rest of us
Yeah,
are
he
just
really,
getting
he
older.
really doesn't look like he's aged at all, doesn't he?
He's changed like slightly. He's what I call comic book aged. You know, like where they just put the temples like to a lighter color and they add like one line. That's the way he's aged.
It's almost like he did that like cosmetically, you know, like add some gray to my temples and add a wrinkle here because I don't want to let people know my real secret that I'm a vampire.
It's a filter. All right. So, all right, let's do the blind combo pack.
Nice.
All right. So the blind combo pack will have $150 worth of comics in it. 3 of them. Okay, a graded 9.8, a signed book, and then a variant cover. All right, and we're doing the blind combo pack for 50. All right, if anybody claims it, we will go ahead and reveal what's in it.
Move to call this the George Thorogood special.
Okay, I love George Thorogood.
One slab, one variant, one signature.
Oh, I
one
like
bourbon,
that.
one shot, one beer.
I like that. George Thorogood.
Yeah, the George
Special,
Thorogood
I like
special.
it.
I just rewatched Christine yesterday, which starts with George Thorogood, which is great. So
Dan Wickline and I are gonna have to sit and write a George Thorogood parody just for this special when you guys do it.
Nice.
Well, I'll make sure if we do it again, that we do the same thing then. One graded book, one signed book, one variant.
And one signature.
All right. All right, so let's throw another book out there.
Somebody needs to buy that just so we can see what everybody wants to know what's in it. You know,
I know.
Last
Well, I
week's
know.
was awesome. Last week's was great. So somebody should pick this up.
All right, so then we got Star Wars. All right, so this is a nice one. Star Wars Episode 1, Queen Amidala, #1, DF exclusive foil edition, CGC graded 9.8, suggested retail of $99.99. And we have the one available for $77.
OBR wants to
Seeing
buy
that cover takes
All
me
right,
back.
OBR, you're claiming the blind pack. You got it, buddy.
I wish to let
Nice.
people know it's never going to be worth less than $50. You know, it's not like you're paying $50 and you're getting like, you know, the Zonk item.
All right.
Wah, wah.
Let's do the reveal. You want to do it?
You do
It's
have-
well, here. No, that's not it. That's a giveaway. Where's it? I'll put it here somewhere.
Oh man, we actually the George Thorogood special sold you 2 of them, but we only have the one tonight, Preston.
I'm sorry, Preston. We only got the one. You do it.
This is very cool. Especially with we were just talking about this.
John's going to open it up. It's just a bunch of spiders come out of it.
Dude, if I can make that work, I
Wait, I
would.
can't get this plastic open. Hold on a second.
Can you flip it around, please? There you go. Now you're cooking with oil.
For our guys, we can make a second one.
Okay.
All right, so hold on, Preston.
Yeah, Preston, hold on a second. You know what?
This one's going to OBR, though.
We should take this one out. I really like this book. Yeah, the Ultimates is one of my kind of. I love the Ultimates.
Is that
It's
a signed
signed by Sam Humphries. That's the signature book.
Nice.
Oh, I just love these. I mean, I guess I'm just like a mark for this stuff. This is a Midtown Comics.
Oh, how seasonally appropriate. The snow fight, right? The snowball.
I
was
know,
gonna say, it's
right?
a snowball fight. This that's what I looked at. Like we're just talking about. All
That's
this
about
stuff.
as Christmassy as I'm going to
It's
get.
J. Scott Campbell, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's about as
I had to double
Christmassy as
check. I
I'm
knew
going to
it
get.
was, but yeah, that's.
All right,
This
so
is-
You need to watch the Guardians Holiday Special, Rex. It'll put you in the spirit. Trust me.
If I got that for $50, I'd be psyched.
all right, so let me make sure we know now that we're going to do another one. I got to make sure this is for OBR. All right, keep that there. Okay, so OBR's got this one.
Yeah, the truth is, if it wasn't for the Ultimates, I probably would have never come back to Marvel. Because there was a time where Marvel just like drowned me in like mutants and one thing after another. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm good. And I'd already sort of moved on to stuff like Astro City and things that were a little bit more me. And I had someone hand me like Ultimate Spider-Man #3. And they're like, Spider-Man's a kid again. And I'm like, what? They're like, oh yeah, it's like a whole thing. They've like started the Marvel Universe. So I'm like, okay. And I remember going to the store like the next day, and I was like, I need everything you have from the Ultimates. Thankfully, the guy sold it to me. Like, he could have jacked up the price. I'd have been like, okay, here, I want it. But he didn't do that.
I'm glad you're happy, OBR.
Those
And
first,
yes, we can call the next one Stevie Wonder
Oh,
oh,
boy.
man.
or Ray Charles.
Those
No.
first 4 years of the Ultimate line, they were amazing. They were
Yes.
so good. Great creators, bringing a fresh take on an old concept, elaborating on it, knowing where they're going. Mark Millar's Ultimates and his Ultimate X-Men, I love. And Bendis's Ultimate Spider-Man is one of the best superhero sagas where you see the birth of a superhero all the way to the death.
Yes.
And if you forget everything that came after that, which did lead to Miles, which is awesome, but that you don't get that in mainstream comics, an entire story of a hero's journey, right? So
Brian Michael Bendis did a thing where he, like a video, I guess it was during the pandemic, where he talked about the birth of the Ultimate Universe and how literally, like he'd said these comments before, but literally he's working in a building. Marvel is going through various reorganizations and bankruptcies or whatever, and he's working in a building, like he's super psyched to get to the bullpen, right? There's nobody there. It's empty desks. He's got like one, unpleasant fluorescent light, and the heat worked like half the time. So he's like, I'm almost Bob Cratchiting my way through this stuff, He's like, I'd always have like a jacket or like a sweater or something under my desk, And he's like, we didn't really have much of a staff, so there was no delivery. So sometimes it was practically an empty building. Right. He'd lock up, well, I'm locking up Marvel Comics, and I would go and he would get a sandwich or whatever, and he would come back and, well, I'm opening up Marvel Comics, and he would go in and work on stuff. Because by that time, almost everybody had worked at home, and things were weird. I don't know if that was right about the time it was maybe Revlon owned it, and they didn't know quite what was going on.
Yeah, I think Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti mentioned that like the same type thing when they got Event in basically to take over Marvel Knights and do that stuff. But a lot of people, especially people that have been in the industry only for a few years reading, they don't remember how dire the circumstances were in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like comics were selling just pitiful numbers. Nobody was reading them, but they were still doing the groundwork for like, if without the ultimate vision, the whole ultimate vibe, that's where the MCU came from.
Yeah, a fair amount of ultimate DNA is in the MCU, particularly the Tony Stark, that version of Tony Stark, I think for sure is very much, I
would say that the whole idea of Captain America, the first Captain America movie, of introducing him in just World War I and then bringing him into everything, we can say that it's inspired by the way it went, right? But it's inspired by the Ultimates, because if you remember, Ultimates #1 was just Captain America's last mission.
Yes.
Right? And it was
really
the costume, and it was the first time we saw him with a gun, and they use that in the movies. And Nick Fury, that's the Nick Fury they use. That's the Hawkeye they use. That's the Black Widow they use. Like, it's the DNA of the MCU is in the Ultimate book.
Yeah, it really is. And it's neat to hear these creators kind of tell these similar stories about working in almost like a quiet of the storm. You know what I mean? Like all around them, there's all these stories about we're going bankrupt, we're being sold, this is going to happen, that's going to. One point, like Toys R Us wanted to buy Marvel. Like crazy rumors were, plus this was like the birth of the internet. Like the dirt sheet type.
Good thing they weren't bought out by Toys R Us, huh?
But there was a lot of crazy stories out there where Toys R Us is thinking, you know what? We sell a ton of superhero toys. Let's just buy the company. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, Toy Biz bought them, right? Like, they were owned by, like you mentioned, Revlon, Rex. They were owned by Makeup. They have no idea what they were doing with Marvel.
I know that. Yeah, I remember that period.
It was just
that was the crazy days in the world of finance too. Buyouts and mergers and all that stuff. So it was not unheard of. It was just numbers on the book. You
started getting those very first sort of descendants of Comic Buyer's Guide as almost like gossip sites,
right?
And you didn't know what you could believe or not believe. And now when people have sources, we laugh, right? Like if we're on Twitter or something, hey bro, I have sources, we laugh because we know there's no source, there's nothing. But at the time, people still kind of believed a little bit of what they read at face value. You know what I mean? So when someone said, hey, I'm here in the building and Toys R Us is going to buy Marvel, I remember that day. People were like, hey, did you get home and go online yet? I mean, I remember that's what we used to call it, right? I'm like, no, Toys R Us is going to buy Marvel. It's going to be filled with figures and stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Back in my day, my Toys R Us had basically a mini comic shop inside of it. I mean, it was like if you went to Second and Charles or something, they have like their comic section. Toys R Us was like that. Comics were everywhere. People don't even realize in the late 80s, early 90s, it was a perfect time for me to be 8 to 12 years old. You know what I'm saying? Because it was everywhere, and it was so plentiful, and it was so awesome, and it had amazing artwork, and man, those were the days. But we're in good days today too.
People are like blown away when they find out like you went to Kmart and you would get like 3 or 5 DC or Marvel comics in a plastic bag.
The repacks.
The repacks or whatever. And I'm like, oh,
I
yeah.
still
That
get
was
people
no
that
problem.
bring. I still got people that call me and they're like, I got these comics. They've never been open, and they'll bring in those repacks from Walmart or Kmart or Toys R Us or something. I'm like,
that was a trading card trick. You know, a lot of what happened during that era with comics was you know, they were mimicking what trading cards were trying to do at the same time, and that's how the trading card business got into large box retailers.
And that was another one, Topps or Fleers. I remember that rumor. It was maybe Fleer. They were going to buy Marvel.
well, Marvel
Yeah,
bought
they
Fleer,
didn't buy
right?
Marvel.
Didn't
What's
Marvel buy Fleer at some point? I think they
Yes.
did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like literally,
Fleer
like
didn't
2
have the
years-
muscle.
I think like 2 years before they declared bankruptcy.
Yeah. Yeah. Fleer did not have the muscle. They did not have enough on the balance sheet to be able to buy anyone.
You want to throw up another book before we go to break?
We got to go to break now.
Oh, the thing
All
is
right.
blocking the time. All right,
All
man.
right. So let's go to break, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube and click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner. Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere The Experience is all the time.
All right, and we're back. Lars, man, Hugo bought Don Ross. I like that one.
Hey, fellas,
Yeah.
before we jump in on anything, can I plug a new show that's starting tomorrow here on The
Yeah,
Experience?
Yeah, go
We have a
ahead.
new show starting tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern. Country Roads Comics is the name of the store that's coming to us with a new sales show. I'm trying to convince him to name his show a parody of a John Denver song, but I'm not sure we're gonna get away with that one. So he's starting tomorrow night from 9:30 to 11:30 here on The Experience, brand new sales show.
Very
Super
cool.
high tech. This guy, he's got some real fun ideas that we're gonna try out, so it'll be worth checking out.
High tech,
All right,
he's using
nice.
a ViewMaster?
Very cool. What's that?
I said high tech, he's using a ViewMaster? Very
The
cool.
one, the big one with the light.
The big one. I may be behind the times.
Not the one you have to point the light. The one with
There's
the
a
built-in
guy
light.
on eBay.
I used
who's
to
been
love
selling
my
ViewMasters
ViewMasters.
10 years.
I lived off the ViewMaster. I actually had the big one with the light, but it didn't work very well.
I had the one with the light. That didn't work very well.
And it had sound. It
The
had
talking
sound.
ViewMaster worked
Yeah.
marginally well. There was nothing like having the reels on a sunny day.
Yep.
Especially at the beach. That was just, you jump in the water, you jump out, people try to talk to you. You're like, no, man.
You notice we all wear glasses. I'm just saying. Maybe they weren't UV coated.
That's why I always tell my goddaughter. She's like, oh, yeah, I love listening to Audible. I'm like, keep doing that. I said, you'd much rather have a hearing aid than glasses and be blind.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
You
All right,
y'all
just
got me
remind
about to
everybody.
check eBay for Viewmasters.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. All right, just so no, don't tell me how much. If you tell me something like they're worth $1,000, I'm gonna kick myself.
I'll tell you, go look at what some of the Viewmaster prices are on eBay.
Oh, I
Like
don't
some
know.
of the vintage
no,
ones
no,
from-
no, I don't.
They're
I don't
super
wanna
cheap.
watch.
They still make Viewmasters.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah, they still make them. I think I'm
All
going
right.
to start a new YouTube channel all about Viewmaster collecting.
They make Viewmaster, they make Polaroids, all the things from, that you think are kind of forgotten or whatever. They still make them, and now they're popular now.
My mom loved Polaroids, but the film was so expensive. We had all kinds of versions of it. And remember
It's
this?
Still really
Remember this?
expensive. Oh yeah, shake it like a Polaroid.
Try to
picture.
dry the photo.
Yeah, that's where you shake it like a Polaroid picture from.
Oh my gosh. All right. So to remind everybody, we have 2 giveaways tonight. And the first one, so we have 2 giveaways. All you have to do is add hashtag REXCAP EXP. Is that right? Was that what it was?
Figure drawing, regular Viewmaster, you needed a light source. You could use a lamp or whatever. Somebody talked about the light Viewmaster was for the rich kids.
Yeah.
We weren't rich. I was just an only child. And
I held my breath and stamped my feet until my mom bought it for me.
no, you know what? I was fortunate. My dad worked a lot. And he felt guilty that he was never home. And I would always be like, what would make me feel better other than this dog? Some stuff. And so we'd go to the store and he would buy me stuff.
All right. So Lars Man, it's just.
I don't even
There
know
you go. Thank you.
I don't know if they even had the light ones when I was a kid. They may have already discontinued them because I didn't know that. We just looked at the lamp closest to us. You know what I'm saying? That's what we did. I'm looking at them. It's cheap. You can still get them. Like some of the Disney ones, maybe like $15 for one of the Viewmasters, but a lot of them are still like $2, $3, $5.
The gas station by my office sells them.
Man, I'm gonna
Really?
get hard. I'm gonna go hard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Kyle's going to be introducing a new show soon.
So Figure Drawing says, fun fact,
Viewmaster
shaking a
glasses.
Polaroid picture does nothing.
Yeah, they
Everybody
actually
does
say you're
that.
not supposed to shake a Polaroid.
Yeah, I was
picture,
going to
but
say
everybody
exactly
does.
the opposite. You're not supposed to shake it, but everybody's. The worst thing is when people are uncoordinated, they would take the picture and they would shake it, and it's like at a party if they've been drinking, and it would be gone. And you'd just be like,
They gambit you all of a sudden. You're like, whoa.
you'd find it in like the Chex Mix. Like, come on, man. What? Come on, man. I'm eating that.
Oh my God. All right. So let's get through some of the books. All right. So then we have, this is a big one. Batman Hidden Treasures, #1. Dual Sign by Ron Mars and Len Wein.
Oh, that's nice.
#2, Low Numbers of 75. Suggested retail of $50, and we have one available for $25, so 50% off.
Wow. Not only are you getting the signature of Ron Mars, who I got to meet in September. I was having a chat with him. So if you guys want to tip up your cup,
That's a name
I was going
drop.
to say, that's a name drop.
That is a
I
name
should
drop
put
right
some
there.
rum in this book
he
I
was
want.
talking about Silver Surfer Rebirth, and I was like, how was it working with Marvel? Did they make you do anything in particular? He goes, the only request they had was that I put in Jack of Hearts. So that means Jack of Hearts is coming. So if everybody wants to do that, but just look at this. Not only do you get Ron Mars' signature, you get Len Wein, unfortunately gone too soon, and you get amazing artwork from Kevin Nolan and Bernie Wrightson. This book is so awesome. The talent here, it's. I met Kevin Nolan, by the way. I was having a chat with him, talking about coloring in the
That's
comic.
That was another
shot.
name drop.
That's another
I know,
shot.
there you go. Look,
Look,
I got.
I'm
I've
going to
got
let Robbie
both of them.
take this over.
There you go.
By the
This
way,
is a
I'm
good book.
convinced.
25
Robbie taking
bucks.
this book over.
Come
Let's
on,
increase the price. I think.
I think so, but yeah, I think we should boost this price. To be honest,
It's going to be the opposite of. This book is now $27 for Detective 27.
Do not listen to the man, okay, with the glasses on. Ooh, that's without the hat.
I was going to say, they're just going to shut the show off there.
Oh my gosh. All right. So, all right, you know what? This is the last graded book we have of the night, and then we'll probably do a REXCAP pretty soon.
We have more CCAs?
We have one more.
Oh, okay.
Batman Beyond Rebirth #1, CGC graded, guaranteed 9.8. Suggested retail of $99.99, and we have the one available for $69.99.
I don't know if somebody wants to weigh in here. There was a point where I really liked Batman Beyond, and they kind of, both in the comic and in the show, went into like Justice League Beyond. There was Superman Beyond. I'm wondering have they done that again?
I know they've reintroduced them in the comic book series. I know that they have done that, and it was a cool idea, and I think it'd be something to be explored. And this is a striking cover. I love that.
Yeah.
The best thing about Batman Beyond's design is how striking it is just visually, because it's literally just the Batman shape and then the red. It's amazing.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if that almost subconsciously informed the first version of Miles Morales' costume, because it's got a similar color scheme, right? You've got Spider-Man with, super well-known costume, Batman with a super well-known costume. I mean, they changed the colors over the years, but essentially Batman's costume, pretty recognizable. When they start doing future or next versions of these characters, they almost seem consciously to go the other way. Black, little red, keep it, low key. The first time I saw the Miles Morales costume, I thought this kind of has a little bit of a Batman Beyond feel to it. I almost was, the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, maybe he's in the future. But, kind of like Spider-Man 2099.
I still think it's the best Spider-Man costume, is that first Miles costume.
Oh, yeah. I no arguments from me.
All right. So next up, we've got Absolute Carnage #1. This is the last CCA of the night. Signed with a Carnage cover sketch. And I watched Mariano when he put the blood splatters all over the place. That was pretty neat, watching him do that.
I was talking to him about Kirby Crackle and Kirby Dots. And he was talking about how, that's a process.
Yeah.
Adding that is a process. You pour yourself a cup of coffee. That takes a while.
He was telling us about how they used to dip the erasers of the pencils in the ink, and that's how they would make some of them, right?
Yeah.
He told us that on the air. So Rex, when he was doing the splatter, did he use a toothbrush to do that, or was he just flinging? Like, what was
That's what I was going to say.
He was flinging, and he did it outside. Because he didn't, he didn't want it. He didn't, you know what? I was in the middle of something. He wanted me to video, and I should have videoed it. Next time he does it, I will. And then I'll send it to the producers and we'll play it on air. All right. So this one is just retail $149.99, and we have the one available for $75.
One of my favorite things about comic book art is when we bring texture to it and splatter effects, things like that. That's a big deal. That's a big deal to me in comics, is texture.
Yeah. Rain. Remember Frank Miller's use of rain?
Yes. In Sin City. Oh my goodness.
The first time Frank Miller did that, I remember you looked at it, you were like, what am I looking at here? And it was simply like a dark night, colors.
Right.
No color, I should say. It's literally a black and white cover. And he's giving something like rain, pretty much a background thing, right? Every superhero fights in the rain, no big deal. He's bringing it front and center, and it's creating not just texture, but depth. It's just really neat. It's very cool.
One of my favorite things about that is in the first Sin City book, they mentioned during the whole issue where Marv's walking through the rain, they mention that it doesn't rain much in Basin City ever. We're out here in the desert, but when it does rain, it pours. And then you read Sin City, and it's like every story's got a rain sequence. Apparently, it does rain there a lot.
Well, that's the thing. Like if he had placed this in Seattle, you'd be like, yeah, Pacific Northwest, I got it. I understand where we're coming from, but.
All right. So last couple of books of the night.
Just an interesting side note on this Frank Miller conversation. Frank will be here a week from today.
Oh, nice.
Interesting side note. I think you're downplaying that, man. That's pretty.
Well, last time he was supposed to be here, he had to have an emergency root canal. So when you get to the age of Frank Miller, I try to downplay it because God forbid another root canal or a sinus infection.
When he shows up, you can just tell him that Rockin' Robbie said Ronin Book 2 slapped. That was awesome. And thank you. That we need more. We need more. Thank you.
He's coming
Oh,
to talk
man.
about
Great
the book
paper
he's
stuff.
doing,
Great paper
Frank
stuff.
Miller's Pandora.
Yeah, I'm
which,
pumped to see
features
that.
Emma Kubert on the art.
Yeah, very excited for that, actually.
All right, so last two books, Vampirella Strikes, number 7, limited virgin cover by Lucio Perillo. It's just a retail of 50 when we have one available for 40.
Dude, that eclipse, that's so cool, that composition.
That is wild. And, 10 minutes left on best offers. All right, and then we have last book, Immortal Red Sonja, number 8, limited edition virgin cover by Joseph Michael Linsner. It's just a retail of 50, and we have the one available for 40.
The company throws that young fella quite a bit of work.
Gorgeous.
He's on Facebook talking about his collection of swords. He still has like every sword he ever bought. Plastic, metal, it's like a room of swords in his house. I'm like, it's for work. They're art references. I'm like, okay, man. Whatever you say.
And just a reminder to everybody, we have Colors Eclipse. Just a reminder to everybody, we have 2 giveaways tonight. Just make sure you put hashtag REXCAP, all lowercase, in the chat, and that same one will enter you twice. All right, and we'll draw that both books right after best offers close. And you know what? I guess it's time for REXCAP.
Hold on a second.
Let's do
Before
it.
I do the REXCAP, I want to just shoot out what we got coming out on Wednesday. I forgot to do it, I think, the last time I was on here. Last week, there were 2 books, I guess, so it was kind of a lighter week. This week is kind of back to, 5 books this week. Army of Darkness versus Reanimator. I absolutely love this book. This is almost like I went into Nick's office and said, hey, can you do this for me? And he's like, yeah, sure. Okay, just get out of my office. Unbreakable Red Sonja. Kind of looking forward to this a lot. It's this continuing idea of putting Sonja in a light you haven't seen her before. Caregiver, raising someone. It's a little different. It's different, and I know for some people it's like a little bit of an adjustment, but one of the things, and I've said this for years on multiple shows, Dynamite, if you're a James Bond fan, Dynamite is your best friend, because James Bond movies don't come out nearly often enough for good reasons. I particularly like this one's got a Mark Lamming cover, which is very reminiscent of, he almost makes Bond look like Magnus Robot Fighter from his run on that, which is neat. Vampirella Year 1 continues. I grabbed all the black and white ones for some reason. I don't know why. I was just like, and this is number 1 from Joseph Cooper and Jeff Parker, who I pestered mercilessly, almost as long as I've pestered Tom Stigowski. Catman and Kitten. These are characters from Project Superpowers. And like I said before, these aren't like the first 2 characters you think of when you think of Project Superpowers. It's a really cool read. Jeff Parker does what Jeff Parker does. He finds a way. He finds something to make the less popular character interesting.
I'll tell you this, John. If you have so much influence on Nick, you need to tell him we need Reanimator versus Mad Balls next. Because I think with Herbert West and the way he likes to put together body parts, especially in Bride of Reanimator, we could really get some cool Mad Balls Reanimator action going.
First of all, the influence is largely imaginary. But when we had Ken here, we actually talked about that. And Ken is like all on board. I even said to Nick, I said, I got to draw this right now. And we talked about Garbage Pail Kids, Mad Balls, Evil Ernie, Army of Darkness, and Reanimator. Sort of like Dynamite for all the other characters.
Let's do it. I'm there, bro. Come on.
Come on, Nick. I've already sold 4 copies. How much more of a guarantee do you need?
We'll even throw a Rex cap in that comic. I'll tell you, just
There you
random
go.
Rex will show up and just recap the story.
All right, so here we go. Here comes a REXCAP.
CJ Design. That cover I had is a Jonathan Case cover, by the way. There's a few other Cooper's covers, including Joseph Cooper, who's the interior artist.
All right, so here we go. Marvel's Spider-Man, The Black Cat Strikes, number 1, signed by Dennis Hopeless Hallam. It's just at retail $69.99. It is number 1, so very low number of 25, signed in silver, and is one of our 5-star at $50 books. Then we had Silver Surfer, Rebirth, number 1, variant, signed by Dan Jurgens. It's just at retail $49.99, and we have the one available for $30.
I'm
number
surprised this is still
57 of
here at that
60.
price, actually.
So then we had King in Black #1, Darkness Reigns variant, signed in silver by Ryan Stegman. It is a best offer book starting at $29, suggested retail of $69.99, and we have one available for $29 for number 29 of only 100 signed. Let's see. That one's gone. That one's gone. All right. So then we had Walking Dead #144, signed and remarked with a zombie head sketch by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $69.99. It is the best offer book, and Ed Weird is in the lead at 12. Then we did Batman Hidden Treasures #1, double signed by Ron Mars and Len Wein. Suggested retail of $49.99. It is only number 2 of 75 signed, and we have it for $25.
Has like a lot of star power on that cover, like Robbie said. Oof.
Then we did Star Wars Episode 1, Queen Amidala #1, DF4 exclusive foil edition, CGC graded 9.8. Suggested retail of $99.99. We have the one available for $77. It is, of course, the DF exclusive foil. Then we did Star Wars The Mandalorian Comic Exposure Virgin Edition, CGC graded 9.8. It is a best offer book, and Creative Keep is in the lead at 40. Then we did Batman Beyond Rebirth #1, CGC graded 9.8, suggested retail of $99.99, and we have the one available for $69.99.
I'm really hoping I live just long enough to see a Batman Beyond live action movie.
All right, so then we did Doctor Strange #1, signed with clear cover sketch by Joe Del Beato and Mariano Nicieza, suggested retail of $149.99, and we have the one available for $75. Then we did Absolute Carnage #1, signed with Carnage cover sketch by Gordon Purcell and Mariano Nicieza. Suggested retail of $149.99, and we have one available for $75. Then we did Doctor Strange #1, signed with Storm cover sketch, Mohawk Storm.
Mohawk Storm. Let's be
by Geoffrey Gwynn and Mariano Nicieza. And you know what? We're going to do a Cyber Monday special. This is going from 75 to 40, and you got about 6 minutes.
Oh, man.
All right, so there you go. Anybody wants to claim that, it's $40 now. Then we did Vampirella Strikes #7, limited Virgin cover by Lucio Perillo. It's just retail of $50, and we have one available for $40. Then Immortal Red Sonja #8, limited edition Virgin cover by Joseph Michael Linsner. It's just retail of $50, and we have one available for $40. All right, so you know what? Let's go ahead and throw back up the Storm cover sketch. All right, so I made an executive decision. Crazy me. Turkey coma. All right, so we went from to suggested retail of $149.99 to $75 to now it is $40.
I might do a little cosplay request and see if I can get somebody to recreate that Vampirella cover, because the
but they got to do it at the actual eclipse, John. They got to wait till the next eclipse and actually go to where it's going to be at.
Oh, that's up to the photographer and the model. I just know I just want the image.
Is there supposed to be an eclipse anywhere soon around here?
The next one comes right over me, actually.
So
maybe Kyle should.
But it's in like 2 years.
Maybe Kyle should do the Vampirella cosplay. Colors.
It's going to be in like 2 years.
Everybody who shows that will be canceled immediately, Robbie. Nobody wants to see that. My diet is bacon and sausage. No one wants to see me dressed up as Vampirella.
No, but I'd show up for the barbecue.
I know, right? I might pass on the costume, but the barbecue would be banging. That would be fine.
Oh, we know that. So how's the new smoker thing working, Kyle?
The new smoker is great. It is vastly different because the new one we have to deal with soot, and it was never a problem in the old one. You have to feed it wood a lot faster. So there were some mistakes made early on that took us a couple of hours, or a couple of cooks to figure out. But now that it's running really good.
So unfortunately, I have no experience in this, so I have no idea what, I understand the basics of what you're saying, but I couldn't imagine what the problems would be.
When you start a piece of wood burning, it gives off more soot and junk that gets on your meat.
Oh yeah, I guess right. Yeah, I guess so.
So you've got to keep your temperature hotter, and so put the piece of wood in earlier in the cycle. So before one piece burns out, you've got to have the other piece going good to keep that down. It's this weird problem of math and lack of sleep.
I used to talk about this kind of stuff on my old food radio show. I'd have barbecue guys on, and I'd be like, I know to the average person you think it's just like they build a fire, drop the meat, and walk away. I'm like, there's an entire both science and sorcery to this process, which is why it's like a specialized skill and why these people are well paid for their work. And like any amateur, I'm going to throw this on my grill. Well, first of all, that's not smoking, it's grilling. Second of all, it's a gas grill, and I've never heard anyone go, I love that propane flavor.
I watch those videos where, they're kind of like in a rural kind of third world country, and they're making stuff. And I see a lot of times they'll cover stuff in like a clay and then bake the entire thing and then crack the clay open and get to the food.
That's like ancient cooking techniques or whatever.
Yeah. I have to admit. And Weird, I believe that you did, my friend. Let me just double check. Yes, you did, my friend.
Oh, we're done. Congratulations to the best.
Congrats to everyone. All right, here we go. It's time to run. Kyle, if you would be so kind to spin the wheel. All right, so our first giveaway will be Suicide Squad #1, DF edition, CGC graded 9.8. I certainly can add 10 pack for you, Ed Weird. Yep. All right, here we go. So who's the winner?
Boom.
Kenneth Bird. Happy birthday, my friend. Look at that.
Look at that. That's like the universe was like, happy birthday.
I know. The universe was on, man.
All right. So then the second one is Champions #1.
Cool, Preston.
DF black and white variant cover signed with a true color remark by Ken Hazer.
This is a good prize, y'all. Good giveaway.
Nice one.
No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
Don't land on bankrupt. What?
Kenneth Bird wins again.
That's awesome.
Do we want to draw again because Kenneth won the first one?
It's Kenneth's birthday.
No, it's his birthday. Let him have it.
Let's let him have it. 2 books coming your way, Kenneth. Congratulations. Hopefully he's still with us.
He was with us to a certain point.
Double winner. It really, the stars really are aligned for his birthday.
We'll only allow double winners on your birthday, right? Like that's a good
Yes.
rule. That's a good rule to have. And then everybody's like, "It's my birthday today."
I know.
We're going to be a little more stringent than Chi-Chi's when you ask for proof of birthday. Like we're actually going to check your ID instead of just giving you the free fried ice cream.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, everybody's
weird, I
right.
agree.
Kenneth needs to go buy a lottery ticket right now.
Yeah.
Congrats again. Kenneth just saved on shipping.
Easy go lucky.
Hey, I just want to say
I've
real quick,
never had
since
before.
the biggest tragedy tonight was nobody picked up that Batman Hidden Treasures, I want that. So, okay.
All right.
I'll claim that one.
All
That's
right,
too
hold
cool,
on.
man. I'll never meet Len Wein, and so that's cool.
Rockin'
I'll just chop
Robbie.
the signature and snort it, and it'll be like meeting him, right? Is that what
I'm
happened?
surprised that it was there. I really was, man. I'm glad you got it, but I was shocked. I'm like, when you said it a little while ago, I'm like, this is still here. I was going to tell you to check, but
As soon as it popped up and you said 25, I was like, I'm going to get that if nobody else does, but I'm going to give them the chance. So there you go.
And
And
weird, I
Weird, you
did,
did.
buddy. I got you down for a 10 pack. No worries.
thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks everybody for
Hope
joining us.
everybody had a happy Thanksgiving.
I do as well. Again, Robbie, thanks for being here. And remember,
Go
9
check out
o'clock,
Robbie's
right?
channel.
9
Yeah,
Eastern, right?
At 9 Eastern, The Godfather Part 3 on PCP Movie Night at Pop Culture Philosophers. And thanks for having me. It's my pleasure,
That's
gentlemen.
a good show.
Yeah, again, I
Yeah.
like Godfather 3. I really did. I enjoyed it. Again, except for the casting of the daughter, but whatever.
Thanks
Yeah,
everybody.
you know,
for
I
joining
just
us.
know that my buddy Jelani, who's going to be there, doesn't like it, and he told me he had "quote unquote" notes. So I'm ready to battle.
No, it's,
Like,
oh no.
Oh, get ready, man.
It's a contentious episode of PC.
Oh, I better get home,
Kyle,
man.
thank you for pushing the buttons and making
Yeah, thank
everything
you,
go.
Kyle. All right, so we will see everybody Wednesday, and don't forget Robbie show on PCP tonight at 9.
Kenneth.
And happy birthday, Kenneth. And also remember, Friday, Nick will be back for Original Art, 7 p.m. Eastern.
We'll be
all
here
right,
Wednesday.
We'll be here
Comic
Wednesday.
Book Day.
All right, have a great night, everyone.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere